Good morning. Well, come on, James, Vincent, come and join me here. Come on, give it up for them as they come up. It feels like a slight cavity of space between you and I, but I'm pretty sure their statures would fill them. So it's cool. And I just want to say hi to anybody that is joining us. Perhaps you're outside of Linc, perhaps online. I know we've got some friends joining us online. Maybe friends of a business guy that's in our church or businesswoman in our church. And so it's good to have you here. I love these moments. It's good to have you guys with us today. Thanks for saying yes.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for coming out and hearing what we have to say. It's a little bit different from the business world that you guys are involved in, but hopefully we have something positive and influential to share with you guys.
I'm sure you do. We thought we'd just put a little bit of extra around this over here and just remind us that we are the Curry Cup champions right now. So that's our version of it. Let's it's not the same, is it? Let's get to know you guys. Obviously, I've got to know you a little bit through the church story and just a bit of life together around that over a few meals. But I want to just hear a little bit of your backdrop. Set this moment up for us. James, maybe you can start. Where did it all begin? Where was life growing up? Family? How'd you get here?
Yeah, so I grew up on the south coast, Port Shepstone. So, yeah, my parents both have lived down there for, probably going on 30 years.
Wow.
They love the community down there. So, yeah, spent my primary school and up to grade 10 at Port Shepstone High School. Had loads of fun. Made mates I've got a small group of mates that, will go with me for life.
Awesome.
The opportunity then came to move across, make the decision to join Glenwood on a bursary. That, obviously, as a 16-year-old, to decide, okay, I'm going to go off and play rugby and try to give this thing a go, it was difficult because obviously you've grown up 16 years with these guys that have always been around you. So that was a bit of a challenge, but loved every second of Glenwood. Played some good rugby, got a bursary up to UJ, and I signed a contract with the Lions, and that's where I ended up meeting Vince.
Oh. Obviously, this is all God's journey. He's taking you from glory to glory. Obviously, it's going to end up where you are now. But keep going.
Basically just
It's wrong, eh? It's not right. Shout out Lions. We love you so much. If you're from Joburg.
But that's where I come from, and that's basically a small little journey.
Awesome. Just to say this, we're going to get into some rugby talk just now because I know guys want to know some juice. But just to give you a shout out, I think you played like 98% of the games last year. And so it's exceptional for the knocks you take, for the mindset that you need. There's a lot in that story of all the gameplay, time in the team, captaining the team, just so many things that we want to say, like, well done, bud. We honor you. You're a young man. You're doing great things. Vince, your story is a little bit different. It wasn't the South Coast. Where'd yours begin?
So I was born in the DRC. My family's from there. We are Congolese. And
What did you eat in Congo? That's what I want to know. What did you get?
Unfortunately, I moved when we were very young, and I wouldn't remember. But we moved over in 2002. With my parents moved over to pursue a better life for us as a family. Obviously, there's lots of war and political instability in the DRC. And we moved over in 2002. Obviously, my parents came through in pursuit of a better life. We were in Johannesburg, and I was raised there my entire life. I am one of three brothers. My older brother is actually the one who introduced me to the game rugby. And I grew up wanting to be the next best goalkeeper at soccer. That was my dream. And that didn't come to fruition because I went to a high school that didn't have soccer, and the next best thing was rugby to do. And
welcome to South Africa. Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I think for me, rugby was always team sport was always a big part of my life because there's 4 boys at home, and we did everything together. There's 6 years between all four of us, so we were very close in age, and we managed to grow up together. And I think for me, the next best thing outside of my brothers was team sports. So that's why I played rugby.
Awesome.
I went to Northcliffe. It's not a prestigious rugby school, but it's a school in Joburg, and I enjoyed playing there. There's something about being the underdog that really is just special, and that was my story. It's the underdog story, and I played rugby for fun for the most part of it, because nobody's ever made it professional from Northcliffe. So it was nearly, it felt like a dream too far to reach for. Like for me, my goal was like, if I could play Varsity Cup, yes, I've had a career. What an amazing career it would have been. And I managed to get I think a 30% bursary to go to UJ and play there. And through that, I was invited on a trial period to join the Lions. And that's where I met James, and I guess was the genesis and the beginning of my career.
I love it. Well, it's good to have you both in Natal country, Sharks country. You have two amazing wives, Megan and Katlego, and no one expecting anything we should know about? Children on the way? Not yet? We did have a brief discussion before this, and they both feel pretty free as it is right now. Katlego disagrees. She's saying, let's do this thing. Let's talk about how people intercepted your story along the way. Obviously, for all of us, there's a voice or a person or a moment that pushes us forward or gives us that catalytic shift, you know. To be a professional sportsman, for sure, there's something that changes in ordinary life that puts you in that mindset. James, you mentioned going to Glenwood and having to make that call to go, okay, I'm going to see if there's really a professional or potential career in me for this game. Was there somebody along the way whose voice was louder? And what was it about their voice that made you feel like you could do this?
Yeah, I think mine came a bit later. It was definitely first year out of school. So being up at the Lions from the South Coast, Shelley Beach to Joburg, it's like two contrasting worlds. So
there's no fish in Joburg, eh?
No. So he's actually our defense coach at the moment at the Sharks. Coach Joey was our under-19 defense coach, and our head coach, within our first 2 weeks there, pulled me aside, had a quick conversation with me, and asked them. The conversation got going, and said, I need to get planted in a church. I need to find a community here because I'm a bit, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And from there, for the next year, that was my home, and those two coaches definitely had a very influential relationship with me, and just leading me as a young man, a young adult, just navigating this new journey and just motivating me going forward.
I think that's awesome, and it's interesting because you guys played at UJ together, Lions together. Joey, you just mentioned, was there. Joey's now at the Sharks. It's interesting how you do kind of find your tribe, and it almost moves with you. I think that's quite an important thing for us to think about, even in business. We'll talk about that more maybe, but God starts to bring the right people around us, and it's for us to realize they're the right people for us. And we should be willing to go on a journey with them wherever that leads us, as opposed to, we want to go here, don't really care what happens with it. There's something about going with people. And so I think that's amazing. That just so happens that you guys are all playing together in KZN, which was not part of the original plan. Certainly DRC and Port Shepstone were not having a conversation to make this happen. But I think it's amazing that God has aligned the right people for this moment in time. And it's cool that there's guys like yourselves that carry great faith in a Sharks setup. And God is good like that to bring alongside. So for you, was there somebody in your life that was loud?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's to become a professional rugby player, there's a lot of voices that have to help you get there. There's a lot of grace that helps you get there, and there's a lot of open doors that have to be opened at the right time. Because it's so funny because I don't think I was the best. Right? I didn't think I was the best rugby player to come out of Northcliffe. We had this 13 that was unbelievable. I tell you right now, I thought he's the next best thing, and he never cracked on to go pro. And I think for me, I had a person in high school. His name's Darren Jordan. And he genuinely had a love to and a passion to dream bigger than what we see today. So he was definitely,
Awesome.
hey, just go for it. Just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. And even though he didn't know what the ceiling was, he always wanted you to take the next step. Just keep going and take the next step. So for me, that was really influential because he just had more faith in me than I had in myself, and that was, he definitely played a big part in that. Good human, and he was about people, and I think that's what I loved about him as a coach. In high school, I guess one of the most influential people in my career would definitely be like similar to James, Coach Joey as well.
Oh, wow.
He coached our under-19 Carry Cup side, and he's the one who actually invited me to the Lions on the trial period, which actually opened the door. And it was a crazy journey because at the time I was studying at UJ, I was studying IT, and I remember my dad was just like, "You've got to stop rugby because it's distracting you from school and it's taking it for him. He didn't see rugby as a career that actually pays you, can pay you enough to make a living. And for me, he was just like, go with the safe bet. This is more distraction than anything. So, he asked me to quit rugby. And I remember I spoke to Coach Joey about it, and he told me he's like, you've got something special. This game will change your family's life. I just need you to believe in me. Wow. So, and fight it out. And I did actually. I went home to my mother this time and had the conversation with her. And
Mom first, she can talk to dad.
I was like, yeah, exactly that. I said, Mom, please just hold Dad off. Just give me the year. I promise you I'll drop everything. If it doesn't work this year and I have nothing to show, then I'll stop. I'll stop the game and I'll go full time into my books. And fortunately we went on to win the under-19 championship that year, and I got my first junior contract at the Lions. And that's how, I guess, he really just made me believe that it's real, it's tangible. It's not just a thing that you're doing to make the squad. You can actually make something out of yourself in the sport. And you mentioned speak about people, and it's funny how life brings us back together, and it's nearly like a herd that's unintentionally
that's cool.
Been stuck together, because I've played with James in many teams, and similar with Coach Joey, he's coached the both of us as well, and there's a couple of us at the Sharks now that he's had a massive influence on. So there's definitely something there.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. In fact, your brother Manu, he's there too, which is super exciting. We're actually baptizing him here at Linc Church on the weekend. That's going to be exciting. So, rugby, I guess, let's turn to the world of rugby and business, how they can kind of relate a bit. It's a game of high wins, or like highs and lows, should I say. High pressure is probably the right word to say. You got everyone's eyes on you, perhaps more than most. TV screens, millions of them are on around the world. And you run onto that park. I don't know what you're thinking about, perhaps, as you run onto that park, and you're thinking about all the different expectations. But my question for you is, how has faith been an anchor for you through the highs and the lows? Let's dive a little bit into the part of your lives that not everyone knows about, but you've got really strong faith, the both of you. How does that keep you staying strong? How does it keep you strong when the eyes are all on you? You did well, by the way. You guys carry yourselves well, so I'm intrigued.
I think it's interesting, because I think my family's life is a testimony of faith. My mom and dad moving here in 2003 without exactly having a plan. My mom was taking care of us. My dad had to bounce between South Africa and the DRC to provide for us for the most part of our lives. And I think for me, even just in my career, it's a testimony of grace, because this is not something that I said I chose for myself. The reality is that I went to UJ to study IT so I could make the next big app and become a overnight breakthrough. And the game was gifted to me. It was honestly just a gift to me from God. And for me, that's just the relationship I have with God, is that you just keep walking. And I think I think of it in business as well. Sometimes you don't have it all figured out, but if I keep driving, then God will he'll steer the car, and he'll lead me into the right places, and he'll open the right doors for me. And that's been my story. I didn't want to become a professional rugby player. I loved the game, and I wanted to be a great fan. I remember going to the stadiums at Ellis Park and supporting the Lions at the time. But, this career that I am in today is truly a testament of God's grace over my life. And I've never taken that for granted. I always say I can plan to do what I want to do, and I can have all these amazing plans for my life. But at the end of the day, His will be done. And I am a servant of the Lord. And I say, it's easier said than done, but I tell Him all the time that God, use me as you will. And, when the injuries come and when the lows come, it's still like, well, I'm still part of your plan. I'm still in your plan. I'm still in your will. So it's still to believe and have faith in those hard moments that, this isn't the end of my story. There still is more to come. And I think that's been the role that He's played in my life, is that, I'm not here by mistake. And even if it has to end today, then my word, it's been a heck of a ride. And I'm thankful to God for it. And I think for me, that's just that's my story. It's a story of grace. Yeah.
I love it. I think we should appreciate that. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that because it presents the question to all of us: what has He gifted to us to steward? I love that you see this moment in time, professional sport, which for many young people is like that's the goal. We want to end up on somebody's screen, like that's the motivation. And I love that was never yours. I love that your motivation was to just go after what God had for you, and it just so happens to be rugby. I remember we were having a pancake Saturday with Vincent Tshituka not so long ago. That's like our thing. And I said to him, okay, so tomorrow rugby ends for you, then what happens? And he just laughed. He's like, then I go after what God has for me next. And I think that is such a beautiful story, because really we don't know what's next, And so just to honor that, I love your heart. I love the way you see it. James, for you, last year playing almost every game on the tour. This year, obviously, injury and some things that have set you back. How does faith keep you strong in that space? You're one of the most disciplined people I know, by the way. You just graduated in LLB law, is that true? There we go. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in James's life. Cum laude, guys, cum laude. There we go.
Yeah, I think I'll speak to this last 10 weeks that I've been through. And it's just been 10 weeks where God's saying, trust me.
Wow.
Like you say, when you've played for the last 4 years without an injury, and you're just continuously doing what you love and doing what He's called you to do, you feel like you kind of have everything figured out. Then you have an injury, and you watch everyone carrying on. You see them on Monday through Friday, but you're obviously not involved with the team as much, so you lose almost your community as well. But yeah, I've just had to take a step back and rely heavily on my wife and our faith. So I've been praying quite a bit with her and just saying, if I'm ready in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's all in His plan. Amazing. There's nothing that I can do in myself, and that's something that's quite difficult. I like to take a lot of control, or like you say, discipline. I like to schedule things out and organize and find a way to
look, those biceps never happened by accident. Let's be honest about that, bro. Sorry, just had to add that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, this period of trust He's definitely taught me a lot of patience. He's given me a challenge, and He's definitely going to make me stronger and a better man, better rugby player, better husband through this last 10 weeks or 11 weeks of growing.
I love that. This is incredible. You can see how carrying faith for any environment changes the entirety of what you do. It changes the perspective. I think it's amazing that you guys represent that in your team. What did I read the other day? It said something like, hard times don't shape character, they reveal character. And so I just think it's awesome that in the harder times of your guys' lives and careers, and we've chatted quite a bit about those, that it hasn't just shaped your character. That's happening all the time by God. It's revealed your character. and for you to be standing up and cheering your team on, James, while you're desperate to get on that park and you can see others getting gaps and all the things that go through your mind. Just exceptional that you stand on the sidelines with confidence and security in who you are to cheer others on. So again, just to honor you, you guys are exceptional. It's amazing. What about the platform God's given you guys, right? So we all have platforms. We all have opportunities to showcase to the world around us or the people around us what it is that we carry. How do you see rugby as a platform to influence people? Let's just leave it at that. Maybe, James, you start.
Yeah, rugby, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have all been on a rugby field before, and it's such a lacquer thing to be involved in a team. So
Lacquer, if you're watching from overseas, is like very nice, like like exceptionally nice to be involved in. Yeah. Sorry, bro. South Coast, Durban, lacquer.
I just think I was going to say, we play the game. I play the game with Vince, and throughout the game, I'm obviously playing my game and having got my jobs to do. But when Vince does something well, it's like you're just out there having fun and supporting your mates. And
that's cool.
I don't know, and that's been maybe something that's helped me in my rugby career not to get too overwhelmed with pressure and, like you're saying, the platform. But I just enjoy going out there and having fun. Rugby never changes. You're going to tackle some guys. You're going to carry the ball, maybe score a try. The game itself never changes. The pressure and the platform, those things do change, and your influence does change. But every time I run out there, it's just, I want to go out there and show people that I love this game. God's given me this talent.
That's cool.
And hopefully I can inspire other kids from Potchefstroom and throughout KZN to go out and keep having fun at what they do, or no matter what, if it's rugby or the next sport, but just go out and have fun, play with whatever you do it with all your heart. And your character, people can watch your character, people can see how you interact with others on the field, your teammates, the opposition. So, yeah, just an example.
I love that. You mentioned earlier on, or maybe score a try. Is there one specific try that stands out to you in your career? One that you're like, man, I'll never forget that one.
Probably in New Zealand, we played the Highlanders. Yeah, probably had like a 60-meter run. And
60 meters? Come on. Sidestep the wing, stepped inside. Tell us about it. Talk us through the moment. Everyone wants to know about the moment. Tell us about it.
You talking about the Bulls one or the Highlanders one?
The Highlanders one.
Yeah.
James is like the most humble guy. You've picked that up by now. So I want to pump this one up. Okay, tell us about the Highlanders try. Right? James gets the ball, and then what happens?
to be honest, it's just like a run for your life. You can see that. It's like so I play in the forwards, which is we're not generally the fastest. We more known for doing more of the hard work. The backs can score the tries. But yeah, I got the ball, and I saw the try line 60 meters away. It felt like a 3K. But yeah, close your eyes, forget to breathe, and keep running.
That's awesome. You can teach us a lot, guys. If you write down nothing else today, write this down. Close your eyes, forget to breathe, and give it all. Yeah, keep running. Yeah, that's a good word. I might preach that actually one of these weekends. Close your eyes, open your heart, and keep running. That's cool. Vince, before talking about your platform, while we're in funny stories, this guy told me a story about him and his brothers, and it tells you a little bit of his fight. He spoke earlier about the fight that he has. Tell us that story where you woke up one morning, were slightly bored, and where did you guys live? Vanderbijl. Where were you?
We lived in an area called Cresta in Johannesburg.
Okay, tell us the story. Everyone wants to know what I'm talking about.
So, you know, as a teenager, you get bored sometimes, and unfortunately, you know, back then it's not exactly like you can do anything because funds were limited. So we linked up with a couple of mates, and must have been at early in the morning, like 10 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, we had ran out of conversation, and we were looking for the next thing to do. And I spoke to the guys. I was like, hey guys, have you guys seen? They opened up the Mall of Africa. It's opened in Midrand. I'm like, have you guys been? Nobody had been. So I'm just like, how about we go? And the guys are like, okay, so how are we going to get there? We're talking about transport. I'm just like, let's just make a day out of it and walk. And to cut a long story short, we took 6 hours of our day that day. And
How far was it? How many kilometers was it?
Must have been at least 38 to 42 kilometers.
Yeah, in Joburg.
And it took 6 hours of our day, and there was a group of about 6 of us, and we just walked to Mall of Africa. And can I tell you, at the time of our lives, by the time we got there, we were all shirtless and in shorts, and everybody was sweating, but we made it there alive. And then we got there, we were so tired, we walked around for about 45 minutes, and then we just like, okay, let's get on the train and go back home. And that was a day. At some point, we followed through and we tested ourselves a little bit longer. We walked for 12 hours to Pretoria. And, if it wasn't for rugby, I genuinely had an idea. And I told the guys, let's walk for a living and, pick a charitable campaign that we can support while we're doing it, open a GoFundMe and just go live and walk for a living. So, but rugby came alive and I didn't have to do that. So. Yeah.
It's so cool to hear those kind of stories, though. When you told me that, I just laughed because I had just asked him before that. I'd said to him, like, what have you got that it makes you unique? When you're in the game of rugby, like, what is it that you have, And he said to me, I've got fight. He's like, I'm the last guy to give up. I've got fight. In fact, the words were, I just stay in the fight. So I said to him, well, give me one example where you've had to stay in the fight that is not rugby. And he described 4 hours into a walk to the Mall of Africa, motivating his brothers and a few friends to keep walking. But anyway, again, it's amazing to see behind the screen what's going on in your lives. You've got a very disciplined, front-footed James that is looking for fun. I'm in passion, avid fisherman, always busy, always active, always strong. You got Vince who's leaving home because he's looking for something to do with his day. There's just a passion and an energy and it's a really exciting thing. And I hope for some of us, it just gets on us today. I know they're in the world of sport. That's their business for this season. It won't be forever. We're in the world of business. But I hope some of their passion, their willingness to go the extra mile, to do the hard yards, to get up and go again, to celebrate a teammate, all that stuff for us is just so powerful. So may we catch it as we speak to them even. Let's talk about one day when you leave rugby. Obviously, it's maybe a bit further away than what you would hope for. Let's say you're hoping it's further away. And so when you one day leave rugby, you go into the world of business. Most of us will go into some form of business. What lessons from the game? I mean, obviously, I could ask you what business, but I'm more interested to know what lessons from the game this season will you take into business that you'll be grateful that you had the experience of in rugby?
I'll definitely take the ability to work it's so cliche, but the culture of a team, the culture of relying on others. So in our leadership group, there's 5 or 6 of us, and that's definitely something that I've learned in rugby. There's 40 guys in your team, and so many contrasting and variable personalities. Some guys, myself and Vince, have a good relationship with each other, so we are able to, I'd say, work together where I say, like, have a chat to these guys, I'll have a chat to these guys. And I can only imagine that, like all of you, either in work or in your own business, having to, first of all, lead or be part of a team, the ability to listen to what someone else has to say, and also know when you need help. So when you need
That's great.
Something that I use Vince quite a bit now, like I'll give him a tap if I'm not confident to maybe take the lead on a question, is
That's cool.
know when to take a step back, let someone else with their skill set, with what they do, like let Jordan Hendricks kick to poles, and let me kick to poles, type of environment. But definitely the ability to have a healthy culture in that teamwork space, both taking the lead and using my skill sets when I have that opportunity, but also knowing when, okay, listen, I'm out of my depth here, let someone else.
That's amazing. I think that's incredible. Can I ask a question around sports and God? Are you seeing more of the God story, the faith story? Does it feel like there's a shift, there's a movement toward more guys in the game relying on God and walking with Him? Is it different to when you first started? Like, what does it look like out there?
Yeah, I can definitely say there's definitely more of a shift, because I think you'd be very naive to take for granted the opportunities that you have to, and the doors that have to open for you to become a professional athlete.
Sure.
And I think it's just it's not just at the Sharks, it's not just in South Africa, but it's worldwide across all sports. And I just think there's definitely a move of, thank you, God, that I'm here. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. Thank you, God, for this platform. Because I think as the further you go on in your career, you see how fickle it is, how one bad injury can change your whole trajectory, how one coach that doesn't back you, that doesn't like you, can change the outcome of your career. And I think it's to say you've had a successful career, it can only be a testament of grace.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So Vince, for you, one day you go into the world of business, you develop the app that changes the world, or you walk for a living. I don't know what you're going to do. The walking app. There we go. You never know. Right here, right now. What are you going to take from this season of rugby? At least, what are you learning from this season that you'll take into business?
I think similar to what James says, we have this thing as loose forwards when we play together. We either and things are getting rough, and I can see that James is having a hard time. He can see I'm having a hard time. We tap each other and we're like, I'm losing you, or I can't lose you. Stay in the fight, and just to keep us. To keep us from never giving up, no matter what the conditions may be in the game, because it gets hard sometimes. And we have this relationship that we always connect as a loose forward, is that no matter what happens in the game, that we are always the energy of the team. And I think for me, it's about community and relationships. Funny, like as you mentioned earlier on, myself, James, and Coach Joey, we started together at the Lions, and life led us back together at the Sharks. And I think for me, something I've taken out is that never underestimate the quality of your relationships that we have with everybody and with people as a whole, because you never know at what point in life that you may need that person, and you may need them for help, you may need them for guidance, you may need them for support. And I think for me, that's one thing that I've learned, speaking to guys post-rugby as well, and you see how those relationships pay forward years from now. And sometimes we're in a world of instant gratification where we want things to happen now and today. And I think it takes nothing to share a good heart or to be kind towards someone and to help a person. It actually gives you, or at least it should give you a feeling of gratitude. And I think for me, it's the importance of relationships, because you never know where life leads you. It happens in rugby all the time. A player has a dispute with the coach, and he leaves the team, and the team he leaves to, the coach ends up at the same place. And now you're just like, wow, I've got to deal with him again, if that makes sense. So, like the world is honestly that small. And I think for me, it's just one thing I will forever take out of the game is the importance of relationships. Yeah.
I think that's incredible. I think it's awesome. You said something earlier, and then James looked across. It's like a lingo you guys had that you use when the forwards bring the energy. What's the word?
Never give up.
Never give up. That's the word?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I love that you call the loose trio the energy of the team. That's such a cool thought, Like, I wonder what if we were to the world the energy? Like, what if we as I played a little bit of loose trio in my D team days, so it was exciting, but there's something about the loose trio that keeps the game alive. It's just one of those things. We're all commenting all the time on how the loosies are playing. And I think it's so cool that behind the scenes, you guys have this little, don't give up with the energy of the team. And I wondered if we, even this morning, I'm trying to hear a few things that could help us. If we can't go into our business world, tap each other and say, come on, don't give up. We're the energy of this economy. Don't give up. We're the energy of this marketplace. Don't give up, Durban. We're the guys that are going to shift the culture, change the things, move the needle. And so thanks for being that to the team, and I hope it helps us today as well. I could ask your wives so many exciting questions about you. I'm going to do a behind-the-scenes interview with your wives one of these days, and you guys are probably perfect, but anyway. Is there anything, I'm going to go into like a bullet round just now just to get to know you guys a little bit better. But is there anything like you would, obviously young guys walk up to you often. They want the signature. what I love about you guys is you've always got time for youngsters. It's very unique. It's an amazing thing. I've watched it in the life of our church. And I even told my little boy Joel, I said, hey, Joel, I'm interviewing Vincent James this morning. He was like, that's so cool, Dad. Tell him I say hi. Because he feels like he's part of your family, and which is pretty cool. So when a youngster comes up to you and they're looking for some kind of lead, what kind of advice would you give to them? And probably somebody might show this to their family or their young sons growing up. Big aspirations, can't wait to play first team, cricket, rugby, polo, whatever it is. I want to be a professional. What would you say to them? How would you encourage that or discourage it?
It's funny that you say encourage or discourage, and I think it's a hard thing because everybody, I never want to be able to shut down someone's dream. Everybody has an aspiration to do something, but not all our aspirations always come to fruition. I think for me the biggest thing is that you know what, you can only do what as much as you can do. And at the end of the day, it's a conversation between you and the man in the mirror. Can you look at yourself and say you gave this your absolute best? And I think that you can't cheat yourself, if that makes sense. You can cheat everybody else, but you can't cheat yourself. And I think for me, it's an effort thing. And the rest is honestly grace. I tell guys all the time, like you can do everything that you can do, but the reality is that the rest is not in your control. Specifically with team sports, your ability to rise to the top is based on opinions, coaches' opinions, public opinion, and everything. So it's not in your control. You actually have to give control over, and how much more grace do you need for something if it's actually not in your control? I think for me, you can only control what you can control, and I tell the guys all the time. Obviously, there's the professional aspects of it that you've got to improve your skill to the game. You've got to have an X factor and hone in, and you've got to be known for something. What do you bring to the team that someone else doesn't bring to the team? And outside of that, it's honestly, it's a matter of grace for me. I can't see it any other way because there's just too many great rugby players that don't make it through on a daily basis. There's too many great athletes that don't become pro on a daily basis. So for me, I always say, listen, you can't cheat yourself. You can never cheat the man in the mirror. Do your utmost best that when whatever the outcome is, when you look back at it, you're like, it was a journey worth going through. And I'm proud of the work, and be proud of the work that you put in. And it's not an easy game. There's a lot. Listen, the fact that you have to negotiate your contract every 2 years just shows how temporary the game is, Yeah. And I think for me, that's just it's a dream, honestly, to do what we do. It's a blessing and it's a dream, but it's not as simple as, I'm a good rugby player, I'm going to become a professional. And I think the moment you accept the grace aspect of it, you take the good news better and you take the bad news better as well.
So good, great advice. How about you, James?
I wouldn't say that much.
Bench press.
Someone asked. No, that's the thing I love about Vinny is Vinny will if someone had to come up to them today and ask that question, Vince will take that 10 minutes of his time and feed it to that person.
Awesome.
And for me, the biggest thing, I was that kid once upon a time when the Sharks would rock up to Shelley Centre and all I wanted was 5 minutes with Jean Daisel or Keegan Daniels. But for me, the biggest thing when I think about it is just God's given me this talent. He's blessed you with this talent. You could be potentially called for so much.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what your ceiling, Vince mentioned earlier, you don't know what your ceiling is. You don't know where he wants you to be. So God there, live the talent that he's given you, use it to the fullest. If your talent is running with, like sprinting with the ball or tackling, just go out there, live it to the fullest. You never know where he's called you to be. So that's what I say.
I love that because I think a lot of us think there's more to it when we look at professionals. Actually, it's just give it a proper go. Yeah. Like be all in. Like don't lose the fight, and God will open doors. Just one question? I'm intrigued. Who's the hardest rugby player you've ever played against? Like who's the guy that when you're playing against them, you're like, I just hope that him and I don't have to collide in the next Obviously, many would say you guys, so I'm just outside of each other. Who's the hardest?
Gee, that's a good question.
It's going to be unfair to the others you don't mention, eh?
That is true.
Let's confer.
We played in a semi-final in the EPCR last year against Clermont, and there's a guy called Pasili Yato. He was one of their loose forwards there, and he's a Fijian. He must be the biggest, most well-rounded loose forward I've ever played against in my career. He's fast, he's big.
2.5 meters tall.
Like
Oh my goodness.
He'll step you, he'll go over you. He was just, I'm like, physically he has the full package. I've never seen anybody as well-rounded as him. So I think for me, he's definitely someone that left like after the game, I was just like, geez, man. I had a conversation with him. I was like, bro, you are one heck of a player. Like, I'm glad we beat you guys, but you're one heck of a player.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he'll definitely be one of the guys out there for me.
I like how you said, I'm glad we beat you guys. That's important, yeah. All right, bullet round. We could speak for hours. Thanks so much for being here, guys, really. Can we just appreciate them? And I realize there's lots going on in your lives. Time is precious, even with your family, with the busy schedules and the travel and all that kind of stuff that happens. I know there's a week off. It's been a little bit of a quieter season for you guys. But next week it's back on and it's full on for a good while. And so, James, we really are praying that you are back to beyond what you were before the injury. I know that you've been doing all the hard work behind the scenes, but we're actually praying a measure of God's grace to give you more than the hard work can give you, and that you would be at your level best by the next game that you run into the park for. So we're excited about it. So we're excited about another few trophies as well, because no pressure, we do like. All right, here we go. Speed or strength?
Speed.
Speed.
Oh, hello. Fast Lucy's. Try-scoring glory or match-winning tackle?
Match-winning tackle.
Match-winning tackle.
Who would have said try-scoring glory in the room? Come on. I was going try-scoring glory for myself. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, just me. What about team huddle or one-on-one pep talk?
One-on-one pep talk.
Yeah, one-on-one pep talk.
Really, eh?
Yeah. I think it's, one-on-one pep talk. One-on-one pep.
Okay, good to know. What about, this is an interesting one. Rugby IQ or like intelligence or raw athleticism?
Rugby IQ.
Oh, we got a lawyer in the house.
Athleticism, because I feel like athleticism. I think you can't, it's hard to get that, but IQ you can learn over time. So I'd take me personally. If you had to start, I'd take the athleticism.
You're believing you can learn IQ over time.
Yeah, over time you can get there. You'll get better at least.
Yeah. I love how two supreme athletes don't even like necessarily call athleticism anyway, it's amazing. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Night owl.
What's the biggest fish you've ever caught, JMO?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I've caught a really nice tuna, yellowfin tuna off Zimbabwe. About 25 kgs.
25 kilo tuna. Did it take you into the horizon?
Yeah.
Like I've actually told James a couple of times, like when you get back and you're allowed to fish again, please just start a channel where you just have a podcast on outside in the ocean. I think for me, I'd love it. I think it'd be entertaining and a lot of people would love it too. So I keep telling him, whenever you're ready, please just start a channel, get a GoPro, get a couple of cameras, go out with mates and can we be, I don't want to go out with you, but I'd love to watch you.
You can add it to the walking app.
Yeah,
that'll be good. I could tell you a funny story about fishing. I'll tell you afterwards. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Oh, it's so funny that he doesn't drink coffee. It's one of those, I don't know, it's just funny. All right, beach holiday or mountain retreat?
Beach.
Beach holiday, yeah.
Come on. We live in the paradise, right here. We're on holiday 24/7, just about. Do you want to say something? I feel like you're about to go after it. You're like a beach holiday with a mountain close by Mauritius. Okay. Books or podcasts?
Podcast.
I actually thought you would have said books. Podcast.
He's tired of books now. It's been 4 years. He's over it now. Yeah.
Podcast, definitely.
Podcasts. Actually, this is a good question. I'll pause here for a moment. We have a bit of time. Any podcast you're listening to right now that you suggest that's epic, that gets you fired up?
I heard an episode. I can't say I'm listening to any specific podcast, but I heard an episode that my wife actually put me on from the Diary of a CEO, and so actually
Brilliant.
the first time I subscribed to them, because I've seen them around, but I've actually never taken time to listen. And it was, I can't remember, Daniel Priestley was talking on it, and it was a mind-opening podcast for me. So definitely, if I had to say anything, Diary of a CEO, I think there's lots of knowledge on that podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, Stephen Bartlett.
Same thing. Stephen Bartlett, that's the guy, yeah. Great podcast if you don't listen to it. Cook at home or eat out?
Cook at home.
Eat out.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You don't look like that eating rice, you know what I mean?
Recently, there's a burger, Jumbo's Burger. There's a milkshake and a burger that I'm absolutely loving.
Yeah. Don't tell your high performance coaches, yeah. Milkshake and burger. That's cool.
Yeah, that's my cheat meal.
Great. How about loud music or silence?
Loud music for me.
Loud music, yeah.
You're not sure. Before a game, loud music. After a game, silence. Something like that. Okay, cool, got you. Plan everything or go with the flow?
Plan.
Go with the flow. Yeah.
So cool. Make good teammates. Comedy or action?
Comedy.
Action.
Okay, and the final question, and then we'll close. Comeback victory or dominant win?
For me, comeback victory. Just because I think I always say I love an underdog story, and there's nothing that describes that better than the comeback victory for me personally. So, comeback victory.
Okay.
Yeah, comeback victory.
Comeback victory. All right, guys, let's give it up for these guys. They've been so cool to hang out with.
Yo, can I take a moment?
I would love you to.
I feel like we had a business, we're having a business morning, and we athletes that are one day aspiring to step into the business world. And I feel like we're sitting with a lot of business men and women today. If there was any advice that you guys could give us as the athletes, what would that be? I thought that would be a great question to pose every businesswoman and man.
Oh my goodness, it is a great question. I'm just looking at 100 odd people here thinking, when are we going to give you the feedback? I'm respectful of time here.
We're running out of time.
We are. But what I would like to do, though, because I think it's a great question, and again, it shows your humility. What I would like to do is this podcast is going to get sent out to anybody that is on our legacy group. If you're not on our legacy group, please can you go and subscribe to that? You just need to go to our website, where Andre mentioned earlier, linkchurch.com/legacy. You can sign up to our newsletter there. If you sign up, this podcast is going to be sent to you, and I think it would be great for us to actually have a bit of a feedback survey to that question, and that we could then circulate with the business community from that. It's a great question. I'm just aware it would take a while to get through it all now. So is that good? Are we happy for that? So when it gets to you, don't just scan over it. Like, okay, I was invited in on this story. I'm going to say something here. It'll help them. It'll help their season, their friends. But yeah, grateful for you guys and praying for a great season ahead. Can we stand? Actually, Chris Toy, come on, buddy. Why don't you come and close for us in prayer, and however you feel led to. You just jump straight up, but you're young enough to just hurdle that thing. So nice.
Father, we are just absolutely in awe of your goodness, your faithfulness. We want to thank you for this morning. Thank you, Lord, that you have put men like this in prominent positions. Men of humility. That's the thing that just so comes out for me, Father, that no matter what you've planned for us, whatever great journey you have for us, if we can stay humble, you will continue just to open doors for us. And Father, it is good to be in your house. It's good to be your sons and daughters. And I pray, Lord, as these men run out into the field in front of thousands, that your name would be glorified. That ultimately, Jesus, it's about you. And we want to thank you that you would choose to partner with us in this journey of life. I pray your blessing upon every person here this morning, and ask, Lord, that we would continue to serve you radically, passionately, as we go about our day. In Jesus' name, amen.